Welcome back to my channel, and today we're in my very small breeder bin. This is a red wiggler bin, and if you're new here, my name is Suzanne, and if you didn't see how I set this bin up, I'll link the video for it at the end. Now, what I did say the last time I was in here is that I'm going to change what I'm doing with this because it's a bit too small for me. It's fiddly for me to work with it, especially when I'm trying to film what I'm doing for everyone that joins in with me here. But there are other reasons that you want to do this, whether you're breeding for bait worms for fishing, whether you're breeding specifically to up the content of your other bins, or whether you're doing it because you want more worms for vermicomposting. Because the conditions that you want for breeding worms are quite different for those that you're growing on or you want to do a specific job. And so to that end, I want to take my adult worms out of here. Sorry, I've knocked the camera. I'm on a different system and I'm trying to figure out the best way to use it. Now what I'm also going to do is make another video because I was asked when is the best time to harvest your castings. Now this is a prime example of when a good time to harvest your castings, because here we go. When they're like this, these are crumbly and they're really good, but I'm not going to harvest these because these are going to be perfect to inoculate what I'm doing next. And so in here these are actually perfect. Now look at this trusty adult. Isn't he just perfect? So I'm going to separate out all of these adults and then I'm going to show you what I'm doing with them next. Now I'm sorry, I am knocking this camera because it's on a tripod in front of me. I had got something else that I was hoping would clip on, but it's just too heavy and the clip-on wouldn't actually support it. But here you can see that I've got a lot of little juveniles in there as well. So if we go in, that's another one of our adults there, if it'll focus in. This camera is a new camera and it should now auto focus in. So there is one of our adults. But here, if it'll focus, there we go, it's covered in castings, but there is one of our little juveniles. And so we want to separate those juveniles out so that they've got plenty of room to grow on and they'll become our next breeders. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to put these into. What I've done is I've separated my adults out of here, and all that's left in there now is all the juveniles and the cocoons. Now what I'm going to do is, if you've seen before where I made my pre-composted bedding, you'll have noticed that I used these big totes, and they're really sturdy plastic and they have the ability to clip on the lids. So in the words of a great Yorkshireman, winter is coming and I need to protect these worms because this is an outbuilding, but rodents do have the ability to get in here and they will eat my worms. And this little breeder bin of mine has been open. It's just had some little bubble wrap on the top of it. I live on the edge of thousands of acres of countryside. I'm very lucky to live where I do. But in the winter, the rodents do find their way in here. And so I now need to protect them. Not only that, but this little breeder bin, there's not enough capacity to protect these worms from the freezing temperatures that I can get. Now my son has drilled holes all around the top of this so that it will have airflow in it so that I can put the lid on the top. I'm not going to clip it in place, but but you know, we'll see how it goes. I'll be able to monitor it. So I've got two different forms of my pre-made bedding for these worms, because one I did inoculate from the other bin, and because I did that and I didn't sieve out the castings, I have no idea what was in there, and so I don't want to cross-contaminate into this bin, seeing as though it's only for red wigglers. So I've made them their own bedding, and that is there. And this tote doesn't have any holes in it at all. I'll leave a link for those of you in the UK to the company I bought these from. I'll also leave links down in the description to the other videos about this bedding. But all I'm going to do now is put this bedding in here, which has been sat here now for quite a while, because that's the other thing, because I've been so ill and I've had other things to do, and also I haven't had the equipment to get things done, and so I've not been able to get in here as quickly as I wanted to, so it's been a struggle. Now I don't want to do too much, because there are a lot of worms, juveniles and wisps, but I want to come back in here pretty soon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of this to inoculate that. I've changed where the light is. It's up above here, so if I put anything in front of it, it's going to throw out everything else. So as you can see, I don't have to do anything to this. I don't have to wash it out to set it up, because what I am going to do is I'm going to put the adults back in here, and then I've just dumped those in there, but I'm actually going to move them to one side as well, so that I can sit this bucket back in there to protect these, so they'll have a double layer. So yeah, now all I have to do is mix this in, and all those little juveniles have got plenty of room, and I can move that over to one side. Then what I'm going to do is put some of the bedding in here. So there we go, new bedding in there. My adult worms are in here. Now I haven't been too fussy about taking the adult worms out, but I've given them some of the castings as well to inoculate their new bedding. It doesn't matter if any of the cocoons are in there or the juveniles, because they've got plenty of space in there, but they can all go in there now, and I'll give those a little mix round. And now they can sit in there, and now they're all protected, and hopefully with their bubble wrap on, that will keep them nice and cozy for the winter. Now, something else I wanted to show you, for those of you that are new to breeding worms and new to vermicomposting, I just took out some of these cocoons. Hopefully this camera should autofocus in. There we go. So these tiny little balls are the cocoons, and those yellow ones, this brighter yellow one here, is new. So that's the one that the worms have laid recently. But the darker one at the side of it, that is the ones that are about to hatch. And here in the opposite corner I've got some more. So these ones under my finger, these darker ones, they're the ones that are about to hatch. And those little babies are called wisps or wormlets. And so I just wanted to show you that even now, it's mid-November here, and yeah, my worms are still breeding and going strong in this little breeder bin. There you go, you can see that bright yellow one better there. Sorry, this is a brand new camera because I had trouble with my other and I didn't like that it wouldn't auto-focus in when I wanted to show you something. So I am getting used to this. There we go, so we'll put those in with the juveniles so they can be all nice and cosy and damp and hatch out. Now, the moisture level in these will now be about, sorry adult, about the same, because I want these to just tick over through the winter. Our winter here in the UK is long, damp and drawn out, and actually with this year, because 2023 has been a bit of a washout for us in the UK, it's already felt like our winter has been 6 months long. But there we are, the only thing left to do is to feed these chaps. What I've got in here, I've got peppers, Brussels sprout peelings and cucumber. So that's a mix of fast and slow foods. But because of the cucumber, it was quite old. There is some shredded up cardboard in there to soak up the moisture from that, because again, with our humidity at the moment, there's a large freezer just to the side of this which has got condensation running down it, because it is ridiculous here at the moment. So that's soaking up that, because I don't want these bins too wet coming into our winter. So I'm just going to give them both a little bit, not too much, because I want to come back in here pretty soon to check on them, and I'm going to feed them in the middle so that they have plenty of space to get away. The other thing that I'm going to give them is my homemade worm chow, and you'll see that, how I've made that, in an upcoming video. So just a little sprinkling for them, and then to regulate the acidity, as always, some ground up eggshell. I'll give them quite a lot, because if you've watched the experiments that Patrick from Vermicompost Learn by Doing does, and also Jane at Rocking Worms, I recommend you go and watch both of them if you don't already. That eggshell is more important than you might give it credit for, and the worms love it. So we're just going to cover that up. I'm not going to cover those main worms, but I am going to put the bubble wrap back on this breeder bin, because they are the ones that need just a little bit more moisture. And not only that, but the lid for this will just sit on top like that. Now, if you do want these bins for any other kind of thing, for storage, whatever, they're great. And just over here, there's the ability to put a padlock or a tie wrap, whatever, through them as well. But these just clip on if you want them. So that's it for today, and I would appreciate it if you found this interesting and you want to be notified. Please subscribe, click the bell, like and share, because it ups the production of my channel. It helps push it out to everyone else, like I've said. And I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.